This is a nation that's in serious trouble.
Well, you're not blaming young people for all of it. Have you ever heard of unemployment? Most young people can't even buy jobs. For years we've been told, get a college education. To get good jobs you need an academic degree. Well, academic degrees are lucky to be sweeping floors, and that's not our fault. You said it. This world's in bad shape. Well, it's a world we never made. Oh, and America wants to make love, not war. Wow. Well, so who doesn't? But they still want high wages that go along with wartime jobs, and all the while the national debt's going up and up and up and up. And you want to cop out and leave it as a legacy to our generation to pay for it. You bleat about this country being in serious trouble. Well, wake up, Doc. This country's already over the brink. It's down the drain. You talk about an America that no longer exists. I said sit down. Those are our commandos out there. They're in the building now.
You know what they'll do to all of you for doing this, huh?
Sure. Nothing. They never do. We're legal dissenters, didn't you know? Hear that out there? That's your generation going down out there. Don't fool yourself into thinking that we're just a few. No, we've got chapters on more than 200 campuses. We've got more than 40,000 members, a bunch of them right out there. Some on your faculty. But you keep believing it. You keep saying it's only a few. It helps you sleep any better. Gives you an excuse not to do anything, doesn't it? Well, that's what we're counting on. Your beautiful gullibility. Your stupid do-nothing about it. That all helps us wreck your establishment. Baby, we are the new revolutionaries.
If an entire year has passed since Portland boasted that the world could not wait, what must the world be doing now? It is more than ironic that it has been a year since we marched together beneath that same banner. It is pathetic that we have allowed one another to wait this long. Yet even as the organizers of this event have recruited the youth of our cities to rally among us, to take to the streets and to not wait any longer, that same youth will soon be disempowered by being relegated to a controlled march without direct action. The momentum they have worked to create for months will be destroyed if we adhere only to assembly permits so as not to disrupt the routine of those more willing to wait. And the transparency of the rhetoric will be proved as we claim to discontinue our dependence on the atrocious authority that oppresses us, yet continue to abide by the wishes of our own police state. It is my understanding that the WCW organizers plan to wait for their permits approval, to wait for traffic to cede, to wait for the right time to lash out, to wait for corporate newspapers to run their ads, to wait for all of these things in the hope that their movement will grow exponentially by gaining the respect of non-participatory citizens. I can wholly agree with this reasoning, given there is the time to wait for all of these factors to coalesce. Today, however, we have no such time.
I think this protest is not as large as I thought it was going to be, and you know, there are different reasons for that. It is Thursday, it is noon, but in my experiences over the last couple of days, talking with people about the legislation that just passed with the warrantless wiretapping, with the end of habeas corpus, not only that, but students can be strip searched. Not very many people even know that in the public schools if they receive federal funding. Knowing that, we passed $90 billion to Iraq, pushing the budget this year somewhere in our area of $463 billion. The point I'm trying to make is a lot of people aren't aware of those basic facts. Over the past few days, the main story has been Mr. Foley and his pedophilia, his perversions. And that's an important issue, and that's something to be talked about. But I find it funny that the GOP, or the grand old pedophiles as they're being called now, the media would choose to make that the focus instead of, for the first time in 800 years, habeas corpus is now gone. And that is what the Constitution, especially the Fourth Amendment, is all about. And that's why I hope more people come and protest today, because this is an historic moment for America.
Well, we're hanging out with our signs. A lot of conflicting things come up for me. And one of them is just the constant repetition of the belief that there's a single way to fix all the problems that people are listing down. But I don't see a lot of focus on ourselves as people. It's all about getting one person out of office and changing one piece of one system. And it just continues to feel useless. So,
does this just feel like another activity?
Yeah, it does just feel like another activity, because there's too much variety here, and everybody's got a certain degree of lifestyle that they want to hold on to. And more I feel like the foundation for all of that, for all of us, is also a part of why things are the way they are. So it literally is about completely changing the foundation of the lifestyle entirely, giving up certain things and letting go of certain things. But I don't know if we all want to live like that. People in different places that really don't know what it's like to live a different type of lifestyle and really feel like it's either continuous progress forward or going back to a certain level of just surviving, understand that you literally can't afford to be too comfortable in lieu of government or something else gaining too much control. There's no other option. We have too many options and too many variables. So I think that there's not the feeling of having nothing more to lose. Because as far as we're all concerned, if we choose not to be here, we could leave and walk down the street and have a drink and order a meal. Life would continue to be the same. There really is no oppression right now. And that's the challenge, is how do you fight oppression when you don't feel directly oppressed but notice it and selectively be angry at it? And then you want to have selective choice over who it is that's causing it. We're protesting a system that's providing a lifestyle that is on the backs of others who live a lifestyle where it's either this or nothing.
Well, we certainly don't protest it that hard, do we? We just stand around with signs.
I don't think so. I don't think we protest it that hard, really. The hardest thing for me right now is the fact that instead of me looking at everybody else with any sense of what they may or may not doing, it just directly addresses for me the fact that I don't live my life day to day in my own personal protest of the things that I find wrong in the world. And I feel like if I consciously live my life in a day-to-day protest, for example, chose not to work a job where I paid taxes free out of the check, chose to proactively create situations where I, as much as I could, did not take part in things, no matter what, that was at the expense of other people, that when they protest feel like it's this or death. Silence means death. In our case, silence can just mean next time.
Silly monkey, you're just used to the toys they throw in your cage.
Exactly.
Although the faces of America's major cities seem relatively unchanged, a quiet revolution has been taking place there for nearly a decade. More than 1 million persons each year have pulled up stakes in the cities and turned commuter, traveling 20, 30, 40 or more miles each day from home to office, factory or business, and back again. Part of the lure of the suburb is in the greater elbow room it offers. Part of it is due to that relative newcomer to our economy, the budget-priced home. This symbol of modern American living has brought with it more than a changing landscape. Here, 16,000 low-cost homes are being constructed on spacious landscape lots, bordering gently sloped, winding streets. Here, nearly 5,000 new homes per year rise out of an area that was only yesterday swamp and meadow and brush. Here at Levittown, where cost is of prime importance, where narrow profit margins rule out the careless operator, these men have found the answer. And from Levittown to Los Angeles, from Minneapolis to Miami, the quiet revolution continues for modern American living.
It's a certain feeling that I feel like we're all still hanging on to the same stories years later. And maybe it's that we're so distracted. What would a new president do for you?
Nothing. No, there's no. I don't acknowledge that we have a president. You know, I don't acknowledge that there's a political system. You know, we should all be individuals and shouldn't be ruled by leaders.
Thank you.
Okay.
Initial analysis indicates that the target audiences can be broken down into three basic groups: the subversives, the government supporters, and then the big group in the middle, the uncommitted civilians. Any PSYOP effort will have to encompass all three groups. Having mentally worked out, altered, rejected, and then finally accepted plans for the military psychological operations program, they now prepare to put them on paper as a formal proposal. They list the major psychological objectives, then the various functional group target audiences, the objectives for each of these functional groups, the severity and stage of subversive insurgency in which the various target groups find themselves, the proposed psychological military activities that should be instituted, and the proposed program to help these activities.
And now the crowd's cheering, "Our streets again." But what's really ironic about this is in about 2 minutes the police are going to let us go through. And we're just going to walk through the streets because we, of course, have their permission. But at least it makes us feel like we are resisting. And so it absorbs that emotion, that feeling. Our streets! 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 Our streets!
We are also requesting that your team of advisors include a senior officer who is thoroughly experienced in psychological operations.
Very well, sir. I think we can provide you with
psychological operations.
Okay. Right. Well, that's America. No, we won't have to do anything. Anyone can do whatever they want. I'm just trying to, you know, the crowd moves this way. This is how stuff escalates. I've seen it before. Yeah, they provoke us. We're just standing here.
We're going on Broadway. We are going to show people what freedom looks like. We are going to show people that they should join us and understand the legislation that just passed last week. Number one, H.R. 5295. All students in a public school can now be strip searched. No probable cause. Next law, number two, warrantless wiretapping has now been made the new law. Those of you at the Marriott, do you see why we're concerned? Wiretapping has now been made legal. Number three, habeas corpus, which has been a part of our Western civilization for 800 years, is gone now. Habeas corpus is gone now. Why am I concerned? Why am I on?
There's kids over here about to get their ass kicked. Somebody might want to stick around and support them. Our street!
This is the United States, a nation seeking its own independent path to progress, but stalled in its forward march by a subversive force that grows more malignant with each passing day.
It's time that we stood up against fascism, corporatism, and understood why we have the rights to say what we say. The legislation that you heard about is about fear. It is about intimidation. It is about making you believe that they can do something to you, break into your house, and take you away into the night.
None of us are trained to take care of certain situations, but when they're in the authoritative role, that automatic, you know, fuck the police, we're going to get arrested and fight comes out. And then you have total division.
Yeah, exactly. That's not the way to go. You know, half of those police people have families at home that they're worried about. They've got teenage kids that they're worried about. They live in this culture. A lot of them are against this regime. But if you stand there and you just make trouble, no one's going to understand that. You're going to alienate the middle class.
Oh, they're very, I just talked.
They're our power. They're not going to go after these little anarchists with face masks. It's like, go play Rambo someplace else.
Postland has a population with a doubtful sense of national unity. Postland does have problems, economic, social, and emotional. And subversive insurgents are always aware of them, always ready to promise instant solutions for the price of revolution. In the more urban areas, where there is less dissension and more of a sense of national integrity, subversives achieve only minor disturbances at best. But real grievances must not be ignored. In the rural areas of Postland, where government supervision and control is only a wispy thread, the subversive makes stronger headway. Here he is free to promote his objectives. Here he can recruit and frequently obtain the direct support of the civilian population. The potential recruit is carefully selected. Perhaps some injustice, real or imagined, drives him where he reluctantly goes, to the side of the subversives.
Well, the media today is not providing us truth about hardly anything, including local politics. What it has done is serve the masters of the establishment, the owners of the paper, and that is why your media is controlled. The Oregonian, for example, is not accurately representing what the population of Portland really feels like. In today's day and world, I'm gonna finish for 5 seconds. In today's day and world, let me say this before I forget. It is not objective to report what the official sources of the United States say. In today's world, when we know what they write, that is no longer objective. The rules of engagement have changed. We are living in a police state, and the Oregonian is not standing up for us. This is the commercial venue. Stand up. No more lies. 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 You will not accept the lies. You will not accept this bullshit. you can.
I'm always getting knocked upon my door. Uncle Sammy's getting hot off the wall. What are we fighting for? What are we fighting for? I said, what are we fighting for? 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 I'm so sick of looking and I feel like all the damn care. Everyone wants me to be a whore. Idiot, stop, shit, get naked. What are we fighting for? What are we fighting
He must know the people of Hostland, for their minds will be his primary objective.
This is perfect. Again, this is absolutely perfect. Excellent. It was just perfect. Absolutely. Well done. It's just gonna keep happening. Yeah, I hope so. Nice entrance.
Master of entrances.
Just finished up some stuff at work and
going for a
got
walk?
a phone call that this was going on and walked over and stood on the corner for about 2 minutes.
Can I
Looked
interview
over
you?
and saw you.
What do you think of this protest? Do you think it's... Well, just give me your honest opinion.
I think this is a really good idea, and it seems like it's quiet, which I think is more effective. Because sometimes I think people get swept up and they start talking before thinking. And I don't know how constructive that is, so.
Absolutely. Yeah. Are you rolling?
Yes.
Well, I'd like to agree with James that I think that a calm, non-violent, well-produced
walk and to get the message out, if that's what people want, I think that's really good. I think that it is productive. However, there's a feeling that there's a lot of acceptance that needs to be done on the part of people that just want to resist for the sake of resisting. And then there's a lot of acceptance of the depth that has to be done for people who enjoy their lifestyle but really want to see everything change. And we've talked about this before, about if you want everything to change but you're not willing to give up your lifestyle or the things that you exist in, it's like, even though these aren't, we're protesting and we're talking against choices that I didn't choose, you wouldn't have chosen. Nobody here is of the mind to choose some of the horrible things going on in the world. The fact that we live in this place, in this state and time, is kind of like this quantum affirmation. Like, everything is what it is. Those choices are a part of the reason that I get up and I live in a house.
Don't you think consent is implied to the things that you buy?
Of course. That's the thing. Even, it's all about a matter of rationalizing the way we want to rationalize and justify why we do certain things. That's ways around the truth sometimes. And the ultimate answer is you just have to say no and stop doing things if you don't want to be a part of it. Otherwise, you have to some degree, affirm your role in giving certain things breath of life, even if you hate those things and they start to take you over.
Modern American living.